Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome into the Real Monica Adams Show. I am your host, Monica Adams. Tuesday, May 7th, and what a rock and roll night we had. Kind of ironic with what we're going to be talking about today, talking about the rock star mentality, and we'll get to that in just a second. Thanks for tuning in. We're going to find out if any of you have any damage at your house. If you're out near the Sullivan area, maybe Franklin County, St. Clair, a lot of you might be assessing damage this morning like they are at Sullivan High School and a bar in the area that I'll show you a picture from in just a second. I've been up. Of course, the dogs run into the closet. The kids jump in the bed. Is that what happened at your house? Well, I hope everything's okay. Let us know where you're signing on from, what area, if you're a brand new viewer, et cetera, et cetera. Now, we are, as you can see from my house, wanted to keep not only my team, but my guests safe today. And I want to start off, though, by saying I am so sorry to Hannah Ledford. Hannah is going to be one of our interns joining us in the fall. She made the trek in today, and with every change that was being made to get ready for the show from home, I completely forgot that she was going to shadow one of our teammates today. So Hannah, if you're watching, I am so sorry, and I owe you breakfast, but can't wait to have you join the team in the fall. All right, everybody. Well, we're going to get to the weather, not only what's already passed through our area, but what is coming tomorrow. We are not out of the woods just yet. So let's bring on our aspiring meteorologist, Beckett Moore. Good morning to you, first of all. How are you feeling?
Good morning. Feeling a lot better.
Oh, good. Well, everybody was wishing you the best yesterday. I know you were off to the doctor, so I hope everything's okay with you. You sound okay.
Yeah.
What were your symptoms?
Earlier this weekend, I had a sore throat. Kind of felt like strep throat, and then I
Okay.
got really congested yesterday. But I'm feeling better now.
No fever?
No.
Okay. Well, good. Well, what a trooper you are, and I know this is your wheelhouse. So when the storms move in, you want to be sure to be there for our audience, and I thank you for that. I was just mentioning, Beckett, that for those that are in Sullivan or maybe in the St. Clair area, this is what you might see outside of your business or outside of your home. These are pictures that I took from the First Alert Weather Team at KMOV, and we're talking about a bar. It is called One More Pub and Grub, damaged by the storms. They'll be assessing the damage, and then just about a mile or two down the road, Sullivan High School had some damage in the severe weather as well. Now, that's on the Missouri side. That's what I saw just from Channel 4. Beckett, have you seen anything else and anything else on the Illinois side as well?
That's actually the only report I've seen for right now. I think that was actually some tornado damage, or at least that's what they're thinking right now. We'll see when the NWS goes in, surveys that, but that's the only report I've seen right now. Likely a couple to trickle in, though, in the coming hours.
Yeah, it was interesting because I was watching the team, and again, they did a phenomenal job. Three meteorologists that were in at the time from 4:30 until 5, and they were talking about a radar-indicated tornado confirmed, and they were even saying it was moving around like they were afraid by around the Boone Bridge for St. Charles County drivers going into Chesterfield. But so they are saying that was in fact a tornado.
No, I'm talking about the damage in Sullivan, actually.
Okay, but that they're saying that was a tornado though already, correct?
In Sullivan?
Yes.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
And that's the only one for sure?
For right now, yes.
Okay. So as far as the Illinois side, I know it was pushing through, and that's where my guest would have been coming from. Our director would have been coming from. So we had to make the quick call to do it from home. Is it moved out of our area completely?
Yes, at this point, it's into central to eastern Illinois.
Okay, good. But as I mentioned, we are not completely out of the woods because we have maybe not one, but we have two rounds that could be coming tomorrow.
Yes, we're definitely going to be having to watch tomorrow. That's going to be a day to watch for sure.
Okay, so
Looking
let's go ahead and get into today and what's expected.
All right, looking at the weather schedule, 65 degrees here in the morning with overcast skies, but significantly changing as we go into the afternoon. That cloud deck's going to get out of here, move to our east, 83 degrees, really warming up, and totally sunny skies. Now, moving into tomorrow, that's where we do have a significant threat for severe weather, a 3 out of 5 enhanced risk from the Storm Prediction Center. That is definitely a very serious risk to watch out for. As you go to the north, into, say, Pike County, up there towards Hannibal and Quincy areas, that's where we have that slight 2 out of 5 risk. And as you go to the south, we also do continue to see that 3 out of 5 risk that's in the immediate St. Louis metro. Now, looking at the severe potential, this is definitely going to be a day to watch tomorrow because the severe potential is pretty high. We got a moderate tornado threat right there. A couple tornadoes really cannot be ruled out. That will be very possible as we see those storms moving through midday through the evening tomorrow. And then damaging winds and hail are also high threats. So we're definitely going to be having to watch damaging winds for sure. Hail as well could have intense bowing line segments of storms, which basically means you're going to have a pretty significant damaging wind threat if that were to come into fruition. So we're going to be having to watch that closely. And then flooding is at a low threat. Now, our severe risk timeline, it's going to be moving into midday and evening. So especially from around noon and into the evening, ending around 6 to 7 o'clock. Now, this could really shift around. The timing is something that a lot of models have maybe around coming in around 12 and then nothing after. And then some models have some storms coming into the evening. So really, right now, we still got to get more details, and we'll have more details tomorrow on that. But overall, midday into the evening is the general consensus for now when we're expecting those storms to come through, and then that is going to be really dropping off into the overnight hours. In our 7-day outlook, 83 degrees today, mostly cloudy, but that's going to be mostly here in the morning. By the time we get into around midday, around noon, 1 o'clock, then we'll see that sun to start moving in. Low of 59, then moving into tomorrow, 80 degrees, of course, on storm threat midday into the evening, low of 61. On Thursday, we really cool down there, 72, still warm, but really cooling down from the 80s around mostly sunny skies. And then Friday, get some more cloud cover to move in, still in the low to mid 70s. And then as we go into the weekend, into early next week, really going to be warming up with some sunshine. And then lastly, the dog walking forecast right here. Um, and then with 2 out of 3 for today. It's overall going to be pretty wet out there this morning, but should be drying out as we get into the afternoon.
And if you are not aware of this, we started the dog walking forecast with Beck last week. He showed his dogs. He's had mine on. And now Peppy, this is Julie Fabian's dog. You've got to get your dogs to us. We're not discriminating, dogs and cats. Or I said, you want to walk a potbelly pig? I don't care. Get those to us. Info at TheRealMonicaAdams.com. Beckett, you are so good. Thank you again. I'm glad you don't have any damage at your house, but we will re-rack and we'll do this again tomorrow. Do you want to join us again tomorrow morning?
Yes.
Okay. Keep feeling better. Thank you so much again for everything you do and have a wonderful day.
You're welcome. You too.
Woo!
Look at that 5-day stretch of really warm temperatures. Is definitely going to be a great weekend.
That is our aspiring meteorologist with our What the Weather segment. And I literally think that's what a lot of you said today. What the heck? The kids are jumping on the bed. The dog, somebody just said, nothing like waking up and having the dogs howl, waking you up early when the sirens go off. But I hope everyone was safe. That's from Rose. Lots of people dealing with wet basements. I feel for them exactly. Some flooding issues that you are experiencing as well. Great weather update. Terry says to Beckett. Leona, good morning to you. Yes, Julie, you just saw your dog Peppy, my baby from Yuppie Puppies, she says. Good morning to each and every one of you, no matter what platform you're on. By the way, we are, so you can share this with your friends and family. If they're not on Facebook, that's why we went on multiple platforms for you. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, and we're on Rumble as well. And the platforms continue to grow, gaining about 2,000 followers just on Facebook alone every single month. Why? Because that's what people want. More positivity, optimism, hope, light. That's what we need in the world. No toxicity and negativity and drama. I was in television and radio for 30 years. Trust me, I know. I came from waking you up that way. And I was like, enough. Enough is enough. So good morning to each and every one of you. What are we going to talk about today? Attitude. We're going to talk about belief in yourself. We've got 2 rock stars. I'm going to give them both that title. One, the attitude equation. Okay, this is his latest book, Mark Schulman. And if you know that for 30 years, I have multiple people that I've had the pleasure and the honor of interviewing in my career. Some athletes, some actors, some musicians. I have 3 people left on that list. You all know if you followed me. One of them is Julia Roberts, and she's married, by the way, to what, according to my brother's genealogy, is a cousin of ours, like a distant cousin. So we've got to get that one figured out. Jennifer Aniston, of course, big longtime Friends fan. And then, if you know me, you know that I've always been a fan of Pink. Are we getting closer to getting her an interview?
Mark Schulman on the drums. AKA Disneyland, because he's the happiest guy in the world. He reminds us all to be grateful. Thanks for that.
Oh, well, then that's a man that aligns with our mission. We're going to talk to him today, not only drumming for Pink, but we're talking about Cher, Billy Idol, Stevie Nicks, Velvet Revolver, Foreigner. The list goes on and on and on. But after 3 decades, he left the field of drumming to really reach the masses in his speaking and in his book. We're also going to talk with his longtime mate. Okay, let's put it that way. Lifelong mate. Believe in yourself. And I love the name of this book, More Than Your Grandma. Heather Crider. She and I had about an hour talk on the phone, immediately connected. And I was like, oh, I can't wait to meet you two. Well, here's the thing. Because of the weather, I wanted to keep them safe. Coming from Illinois, I wanted to keep my director safe, my assistant, all of them. So we switched to the show at home. We're going to bring you these interviews, though, from home. And then we've already decided that we are going to do this again in studio. So we're going to have a part 2 to this. We're going to talk about belief. We're going to talk about attitude with both Mark and Heather when we return.
Envita Health and Wellness, where you can feel your best both inside and out. Envita isn't your typical med spa. They're a multi-specialty medical spa and wellness center serving St. Louis and its surrounding areas. They have ketamine for mental health and pain, IV therapy, medical weight loss, and aesthetics treatments. As board-certified anesthesia providers, Envita can ensure that their advanced treatments are provided safely with minimal to no pain. So let Envita take care of you. Call 314-394-0950 to book an appointment or online envitahealthandwellness.com.
Mark Schulman on the drums!
What about all the times you said you had the answer?
I have worked intimately with some of the greatest artists on the planet, people that I call my friends. And they have shared me stories and secrets and methods of operation for performance. It's not just about having the top performance. Here's what you can learn from my industry. I was performing in front of 250,000 people. What we realize is we can't control what happens to us, but we can control our attitudes about what happened to us. You can change, shift, control your attitude. And the attitude is what drives your behavior. Behavior is what drives the consequences of your life. I want you to remember, in that moment, that's the moment where attitude and mindset make all the difference on the planet. Because this is really, really critical, especially in the challenging times. I pay attention to every detail about my performance. There are no small moments. Every moment is critical. Passion is what motivates us. You are here because of passion. Passion is what puts you in the seats. So what if you attach purpose to that passion? It not only makes you powerful, it makes you irresistible. Because I realized there was something going on. Significant moment, a moment where I needed to trust my intuition. And I was scared to trust my intuition. This was a pivotal moment for me. So what can you take away from this? The rockstar mindset. I did something that musicians love to do. I improvised. I responded in the moment to that client's needs right then and there and came up with a solution that was literally irresistible. And this is what it's like when we improvise. My name is Mark Schulman. I'll be your own personal rock star for the rest of the day and night. And I think you'd agree, everything in our life is based on our performance on the stage, off the stage, individually, collectively. Everything you do is a performance. Every bit of written communication, every bit of verbal communication, every bit of body language, every text tweet, every email, it's all a communication. It's all a performance. And what you just did there, my friends, you really brought it. That was amazing. Oh, it's going to be so much fun. Thank you so much.
All right, did that just electrify you? That's not the only person we're going to have on today. We also are going to hear from Heather Crider. As I mentioned, Heather and I were on the phone together. I'm going to give a little background before we bring the two of them on. Now, so here's the deal. With Heather, her journey was actually inspired by a serendipitous meeting with Zig Ziglar when she was only 18, became a master of mindful strategy, showcasing her relentless spirit and commitment to lifelong learning and mentorship. And she is now the co-creator of the Rockstar Performance Leadership Academy, single mother, and a former CEO who has collaborated with Fortune 500 companies. She combines deep financial expertise with neuroscience insights to drive transformative results. And they both have books out, and they are both my guests this morning. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning, Monica. Can we take?
I love those
Take
glasses.
you with us everywhere.
Yeah.
What an intro,
Yeah.
especially
I'm
so
so
early.
sorry. I'm so sorry we weren't able to be in studio, but that just means you got to come on the second time.
And we shall. We would
Yeah.
love to.
Perfect. Well,
Thank you.
Heather, first of all, I'm so glad that a mutual friend connected you and I, and we had, wasn't it about an hour and a half we were on the phone, just had such a great conversation. And definitely 3 people on this show right now that have so much passion and it's just oozing through the screen. I hope that all of you get inspired today. And we can't wait to see the comments that you drop in. But let me start, first of all. Heather, neuroscience, what is it?
My tagline is I help fix people's brains. So if you have one of those, I probably could help you.
And that's for all of us. Fantastic. Well, what made you dig into neuroscience?
Yeah. So the answer is really life. You know, we all have our own experiences. We all go through trials, struggles, and mine's no different. I started my career in the corporate world. I was a corporate accountant and lived the quote dream, the dream life that I thought we were supposed to have. And I quickly realized that life is way harder than what I dreamt of as a child. And my desire to be this superhero and save the world, it quickly diminished when I really saw the stress and struggle and burnout that people were going through, and myself included. So I encountered what I call significant emotional experiences. We all go through them. Some are more severe than others, some are more traumatic than others. So I really needed to understand, though, my own emotions. And if I was going to be a mother, I had 2 small children at the time, a leader, I had my own business and was trying to grow it. I needed to really get a handle on my emotions and understand not just how to function in life, but how to thrive and be a vibrant, energetic human that could process emotions, whatever those might be. So I was very fortunate to meet several neuroscience experts and neuro wisdom experts. And I went through that training for myself to really understand, like I said, my own emotions, but to really get a handle on stress and burnout. And I was taught that you have a few emotions: anger or sadness. Those were the core emotions I was taught. So that's a big range, and it's very scary, especially when you go through big life events. So, long story short, that's where it really started for me. And it was an evolution because I saw the impact it had on my life, just retraining the way our brain functions, unlearning and relearning pathways in our brain. And that became a second passion for me, which is now my primary passion. And so I
Well,
had to share.
and Heather, you can feel the passion in your book. It's definitely a quick read. And thank you, by the way, for dropping these off at our studio so that I could look through these before I had both of you on. I love the fact that both of you in the books talk about ABCs, awareness and beliefs and choices for you, consequences that Mark talks about. We're going to go back and forth between both of their books and both of their passions. Mark, as I mentioned in the beginning, I have long been a fan of Pink, just for so many levels of the passion, her work ethic, everything about her. She's coming in the fall. We're going to go see her again. I've seen her every time she comes in. You played drums for her for what, 13 years?
14 years.
14 years.
And the
And
only,
Cher
yeah,
and Foreigner, and the list goes on and on and on. A 3-decade career, but you came to a very pivotal decision that you had to make to continue drumming, continue to do your passion of speaking, but you couldn't do both. How do you make the decision to walk away from that illustrious career?
well, in actuality, in 2019, when I was touring with Pink, the last tour I did 51 speaking gigs, but I had cultivated this business because I realized that it was a very strong platform for me, a very powerful platform. I come from a lineage of two, professorial parents, two college teachers. My dad had a PhD in grammar and composition. And I just started to understand very early on that I had the ability to get up in front of a crowd. And I love playing drums. I played with the most amazing artists for 32 years. But after 32 years, I realized that this platform and my opportunity to communicate, to educate, to entertain, and to engage the corporate world, it hit me one day because I'd been doing all these music clinics and I thought I could take this same formula and transfer it to the corporate world and be of greater service, in my opinion, than simply playing drums on the road, which I love, but I'd done for so long. So I made the decision at a point, it was like, it's time to jump off. The safety net is gone. I'm going to speak full time. And that is what I do. And I have some of the greatest corporate clients in the world, everybody from American Express to Dell to Microsoft to, I just spoke for Pirelli to Kaiser. So I speak for some very high-end companies. I also speak for associations. And I call it a rock show disguised as a keynote because I play drums. Drums is a foundation. So I play a Pink medley, a Foreigner medley, a Cher medley, a Billy Idol medley. And I use these artists as sort of heroes and examples for top performance. And my speciality is attitude transformation. So the book that you showed, it's called The Attitude Equation. And fundamentally, in addition to all of the excitement and all of the interactivity and all of the, playing along with videos, we cannot control what happens to us so much of the time. That's very obvious. But you always have the power to change, control, or shift your attitude about what is happening. And that gives you incredible leverage and incredible power. And this is the key here. Your attitude is what drives your behavior. One attitude can drive many behaviors, and your behavior is what determines the consequences of your life. That's A times B equals C. Attitude times behavior equals consequence. And then I confirm that because in my book, I actually interview top performers in all industries, everybody from Judd Apatow to Howie Mandel to Grant Cardone to the late, great Tony Hsieh, the CEO of Zappos, to Martina Navratilova, about their experiences in how attitude not only shaped their successes, but shaped their failures. And I tell stories about all these artists and my own personal story, my own personal battle with cancer. So it really is, I like to look at it like it's a movie, like it's an arc. I want people to be on the edge of their seats when I'm speaking. And Heather and I joined forces because we spoke for the same client. And we realized very quickly, oh my gosh, we're from completely different walks of life, but our content is actually very, very similar. And we stayed in touch. We ended up falling in love. And we thought, well, wait a minute, why don't we combine our efforts and create a joint presentation? So I do Hacking the Rockstar Attitude, and we do Hacking the Rockstar Brain.
Mm-hmm. You two are incredible. I mean, obviously, I would love to see the two of you speak on stage because you can feel the passion in both of them. I was going to ask, now you just told us, of how the two of you met. I love the fact that your life took on a whole nother role and the passion comes out of both of you. You were mentioning the people in your book, Mark. Again, it's called The Attitude Equation, Rock Stars in All Fields, Sharing Their Secret Attitudes. I loved and really was drawn to chapter 12. And then you mentioned Howie, which is, by the way, chapter 42, In Confidence. And I love this part. It features Julie Masters, a co-founder and CEO of Influence Nation, podcast host, consultant, keynote speaker. One of the things that jumps out that she talks about about is in her master's, which is in the back part of her chapter. Listen to this, folks. She says, I go for a walk every morning and I think about who I want to become. She actually envisions the life that she wants to create, the places she wants to go, the people she wants to meet. She said, I adjust how I walk. I do it every morning. Quote, how would someone who does that walk? How would they hold themselves? How would they vibrate? Would they be fuzzy? I adjust as I walk. And such a powerful thing, Mark, because literally you want to become something. You just start saying, how is that person doing that? How can I become more of that? I think there's a lot of people watching, though, Mark and Heather, that say it can't be that easy.
Well, do you want to take this, Coach?
Yeah, I'm jumping out of my skin right now to answer that. It starts with what you believe, what you feed your mind starts that neural pathway. That neuron in your brain is where it sparks or where it fizzles out. So that belief that you can or that belief you cannot is a real thing. And that what she said is 100% what we talk about as well. Who you want to become, you have to be able to see that. Your brain does not know between past, present, or future. So if you're stuck thinking about all the negativity and all the shoulda, woulda, coulda's, and I always say, quit shooting all over yourself because your brain will believe you. So when you really want to achieve something, when you want to do something different, when you want to be a different mate, you have to be able to envision that. So is it really that simple? Yes, it is. The difficult part is habit. And the difficult part is making sure that you, when it gets tough, when things are, you don't see the result, you still have to envision it. Your brain will catch on. This is the best way I can explain it. And I explain this to my clients all the time. When you're walking down a pathway in the woods, that path is usually worn. But maybe you don't want to go down that path anymore. And there's something on the other side of the trees. And you just decide to start cutting straight through those woods. You have to create a new path. There might be thorns. There might be sticks in the way that you need to move. Maybe you need to even get a chainsaw and move a tree that's been knocked down. That's what you're doing in your brain when you try to have change. But eventually that path becomes a new path for you and it becomes much easier. So if you think about that in everything we do, is it that simple? Simple is a relative term. But when you really want something, you have to be able to envision it. You have to be able to feel it, all the senses. So that's my answer to that. And it's a lot of fun.
Well, absolutely. And if you're just tuning in, once again, we're talking with Heather Crider and Mark Schulman, and nothing in life that's worthwhile is easy. I mean, the people who are the most successful, they put in the hard work every single day. I love this. I follow Mark Wahlberg. I interviewed him for a movie years back, and we broke down his schedule and the time it starts, the time it ends, and filling every single line. If you've never looked at it, by the way, Google it, because it is so powerful to think that that's what someone can do. But that also can be you. Richard just said, Mark, you explained this so much better than I do. You have to adjust your mindset to any situation, no matter what your background is. Both of you are amazing. Mark also said the word that you hear me say all the time in my life coaching, which is the word shift. If you paid attention, Mark said shift. People have an aversion, Mark, don't you agree, to the word change?
Absolutely. And I think one of the key factors that Heather was talking about, I don't like to think in terms of it as being hard work. I like to think in terms of it as being consistent work. And one of my simplest and most powerful and sticky attitude shifts that I talk about, it's prefaced with a very emotional story, but I'll cut right to the chase. It's simply shifting a have to a get to. If you look at what you're doing as a have to, it feels like a chore. Even the most mundane things in your life, if you switch that to a get to, it feels like a choice. Very simple things. Instead of I have to take my kids to work, I get to take my kids to work. Instead of I have to talk to my boss, I get to talk to my boss. Instead of I have to talk to that client, I get to communicate with that client, because you're approaching it from a different attitude, from a different viewpoint, from an empowering viewpoint. So the idea is to create whatever you need to create. It depends on where you're looking from. Your attitude is your point of view. It's your vantage point or your disadvantage point, because it's not what we look at, it's what we see and perceive that determines our experience, that determines our reality. That's one of the things that Heather was talking about, something we discussed together. So if you approach it, your approach and attitude are really synonymous from a different place. You approach it from the position of, I get to do this instead of I have to do this. Okay, audience, here's your challenge. For the next 24 hours, every single thing, every time you think of something you have to do, shift it to a get to, and just notice how it shifts your behavior and your consequences. For some of you, it'll be subtle. For others, it'll be a game changer, as it is for me. And I utilize all of this in my life. Everything in my book is from experience. The A times B equals C formula, the attitude equation. I co-wrote the book with Dr. Jim Samuels, who's been a mentor for 35 years. He created ABC. I've been using this for years, and I use it every single day. And I will tell you, again, it works. And again, it doesn't need to be hard work. It needs to be consistent work.
Consistency is everything. We're going to take a quick break. Again, we're focusing on attitudes and beliefs. And do you think that this can be your life? This book is out. It came out at the end of April. It's The Attitude Equation. And I'm going to get to chapter 42. For all of you that are big Howie Mandel fans, we'll talk about his chapter. What a great one. I also want Heather to talk about, you mentioned in your book, which is not out yet, correct, Heather? It's
That's
not
correct.
out yet. Okay.
Yes.
What's the time frame of having this come out?
That'll be released to the public mid-June.
Mid-June,
So very
okay.
soon.
But keep it on. Do me a favor, everybody, while we take the break, write this down. Believe in yourself. I'm going to ask you how you came up with the title, by the way. Believe in yourself more than your grandma, which I absolutely love. But she talks about Arnold Schwarzenegger in that book, and what an incredible, if you followed his story, what an incredible story he had of believing in himself, right? Other people might have thought he was absolutely crazy of what he thought he could do. But it's all of that. Let them think you're crazy, and then show them what you can do in the world. We'll have more with Mark and Heather when we return.
She's a special woman and done so much for St. Louis.
Watching her work is one of the most incredible things you can see.
She just sees value in everyone.
Sometimes people just need you to sit with them and hear them. I feel heard.
Time flew by, and it was like sitting and talking to a friend.
Not only creating a better place here in St. Louis, but to inspire others. It's always great to have examples like you.
You have such a light and such a presence, and I could feel it this morning.
We knew right away when you started this, we wanted to be on your show. Thanks for having us.
I look forward to seeing how you rock and roll and shake it up.
I love it. Shaking it up and rocking and rolling this morning with Mark and Heather. Now, we played a little clip from Mark speaking. Let's give you a little background on Heather's.
First important question. Are you ready to rock? Everybody stand up, high five or knuckle bump and say, yeah, I agree. The number one reason people leave their positions has nothing to do with position. People leave people. I was working late. I was exhausted. I don't remember much about that night other than somehow I was able to get home in fear of my life. My 5'2", barely 100-pound body never felt so small. And I just froze. All my confidence just left my body. That day had such a domino effect on me and my entire career. And it affected my trust in my manager. Because communication can absolutely make or break a team. It can make or break a business. It's crucial because every moment matters. Once I've studied the most successful rock star performers, what I've realized is they've not only mastered the ability to connect with their audience, they've been able to master the art of connecting to themselves. In the middle part of your brain is an almond-shaped structure called the amygdala. But here's what you're doing. You're stressing it out. Because of your overworked, high-paced world, this part of your brain cannot distinguish between what's real and what's imaginary. And so your brain starts to get hijacked. For the next 24 hours, here's your call to action. Every time you catch yourself thinking or saying a negative word, I want you to go, no! It affects your productivity, your ability to connect, to do your job, to be able to just be human some days. With a few simple tools and techniques, you can start training your brain to get off of this stress loop. When your brain goes offline, when your body reacts that way, it takes 90 seconds to come back to have a conscious thought for you to choose wisely. You calm your brain and you ask yourself, what's important now? You have the power for you to practice the tools and techniques that we've taught you. Every moment matters.
Powerful. Again, Heather Crider, and she also has a podcast I would like for you to follow, Reflect, Go Reflect Yourself podcast. So that is the thing that a lot of you are commenting on. I love shift to a get to. Somebody said, I get to go to work. Exactly. What we're helping today is that you see your own self in this, that you get emotional, that you are moved through several emotions of the way your life has been and the way you get to change your life. So Heather, one of the things that I mentioned, you talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger near the beginning of the book and what a storied career he has. But, you know, the language barrier, the breakdown, he was a bodybuilder. For him to believe that he could not only become a successful Hollywood actor, go into politics. Those are all things, and I want you all to hear this, what I get ready to ask. So many people in life, Heather and Mark, are put in a corner and told you cannot do this, and they believe everybody else and they give everybody else power, don't they?
100%. And that belief, again, everything comes down to a choice. And we get taught so much to do something that somebody else wants to do, to be someone somebody else wants us to be. I tell a small story that I share with my clients all the time. I remember when I was 10 or 11 years old and I had a big family gathering. I had an aunt who was going to take a lot of cousins to Dairy Queen, but I had one cousin who wanted to stay for the snow cone truck. And I'm sitting there and it's decisions. Do I go to Dairy Queen and have ice cream, or do I stay on the hot, sweaty street and have a snow cone? And my cousin talked me into staying with her because that's what she wanted to do. And I stayed. And then all my cousins came back and they had these beautiful, amazing looking ice creams. And I'm sitting there with a hot snow cone. And I regretted it. Every day I regretted it. And I always think about that moment. I made that choice for what someone else wanted. That wasn't what I wanted to do, but I made it for someone else. So I always tell people, choose the ice cream. Do what you want to do. But that's really what it comes down to. And so the reason I always bring back to the brain is you have to learn to train yourself to stop. I call it the power of the pause. And in our speeches, we just go pop really quickly, just pop. And the power of the pause, and you saw that in that clip, it takes 90 seconds when your brain gets hijacked. So in that moment with my cousins, when I'm choosing the snow cone, my brain's hijacked. I'm confused. I know I don't. My heart tells me I don't want the snow cone. My heart tells me I want the ice cream, but my brain can't catch up.
Yeah.
The power of the pause is a crucial thing, because the pause gives you power for you to be able to slow everything down, to be able to make a choice. So long way to get back to Arnold Schwarzenegger. When we really look at, again, who we want to be and defying odds, it's not even about that. It's about saying what matters to me. Who cares what other people are saying? Who cares what limitations? If you're in the box, you can't see perspective out of the box. You got to get out of the box. Who cares about a box? You don't
There
need a
is
box.
no box, is my philosophy.
Absolutely. So
Well,
yes, it's all the perspective and choice and belief.
I love the phrase, what someone thinks of you is none of your business. And so it's so hard for people to wrap their brain around that, but it's really all the time you're spending on what everyone else is thinking about you is wasted time of you getting to where you want to be.
Yeah.
Right? So again, there's so much, and that's why we're going to do a part 2 in person with Mark and Heather that we want to talk about. So one of the things that Heather also talks about in her book, Believe in Yourself More Than Your Grandma, is the imposter syndrome. I don't want you to think that Mark, Heather, or myself ever go through life and don't say, are we enough? Are we standing on stage? We're all speakers, by the way. Do we stand on stage and think, do they want to hear what we have to say? You know, your mind goes back and forth. Do the two of you meditate?
Oh, yeah.
Can you please, Mark, stress the importance of that? Because I say it on a regular basis. I also talk about this, which Heather talks about, writing it down, the transfer from the brain to the paper. Can you reiterate to my audience why it's so important?
Well, let's start by saying I'm a drummer. I make a lot of noise. What is really critical is just allowing yourself the luxury to let the noise stop. So I've dropped having any goal because I have a very active mind. Sometimes when I meditate, I'll just focus on one thing and it'll be very calming. Other times I meditate, I'll have these amazing ideas and have a notepad next to me so I can write them down. The idea is you're giving yourself the luxury of just simply stopping and giving yourself the luxury of being able to allow your brain to just calm down, stream of consciousness. If you pass out and fall asleep, that's okay too. There's no rules for meditation. I think one of the things is people believe, oh, I have to achieve this, or I have to achieve complete silence, or I need, you know what? That's all just BS. The idea is simply giving yourself the luxury. And by doing that, that is also sort of enhancing your self-power because you say, you know what? I deserve this 10 minutes. I've earned this 15 minutes. I've earned this 20 minutes. And it's like a reset. It's like a reset. And Heather's the one that really got me into consistent meditation, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I realized it was so critical to how my brain functions. And when I'm done, it just sort of opens up a whole new world of opportunity for me because I've just quieted that little amygdala. I call it the little rock star drummer, the amygdala in the brain, which is what's firing all your fear and your excitement and all your emotions. Just want to give that a chance to simply calm down.
I think it's really a great analogy. Think of your brain as a snow globe. When it's constantly being shaken and you've got all of this cloud, you can't see what's actually in the snow globe. So meditation is an opportunity to have things settle and have clarity so you can actually see what's in it.
Yep. Yes. Okay. And so in Mark's book, The Attitude Equation, I mentioned chapter 42, fulfillment. If you're a fan of Howie Mandel, you get a little insight into his life and how he talks about OCD, ADHD, the belief in himself and the unbelief in himself, and almost not taking an opportunity that we all can't even imagine that he wouldn't have taken. But Mark, he was not going to do the deal or no deal, was he?
Exactly. You know what? Here's my philosophy. First of all, one of my, I say, dream your life and live your dreams. If you can imagine it, you can create it. And we all have our own ceilings. It's a glass ceiling. I mean, here I am. If you had told me 20 years ago I'd quit touring to be a corporate keynote speaker, I would have said, hell no. All I want to do is play drums. But if we can imagine what's possible. And as Heather talked about earlier, not be swayed by other people's opinions. So I think it's really critical. And that's what Howie did. And also, when I think about any opportunity, I think, you know what? Someone's got to get this gig. It might as well be me. So rather than looking at it like, oh, it's somebody else's gig, no, it can be mine. All I need to do is just put the time and the energy and the work into it. And the work doesn't always feel like work. One of the things I do is I'm constantly on the phone calling clients and calling meeting planners, calling the agents. I view it as an opportunity to connect. I view it as an opportunity to have communication with another person. If you're in sales, it'd be the same thing. Instead of dreading it, it's like, no, you get the opportunity to connect, to create a new relationship. What's your point of view? What's your attitude about it? Do you get to you? Do you have to?
Mm-hmm.
And so it really is, that's why, the neuroscience connection is so important to me. I've learned so much from Heather about just what you do with your brain and how you respond. You want to take this, Coach?
I think you did a great job. Yeah.
She calls me drummer. I call her coach.
I love you too. That's the thing, Mark.
I love us too. Thank you.
You brought up a great point, because look, we can look at anybody in any field of life and you say, well, why are they more special than me? They got to be that. So what was the breakdown of me not becoming that? You sit there and say, well, why not me? Instead of, why can't I? Why couldn't I have done that? Right. And look at, well, forget it. I'm just going to settle and stay right here. No, I mean, you, Heather, myself, you talk about drumming for 30 plus years. I was in television and radio for 30 years. I decided a year and a half ago, nope, I'm going to walk away. I'm going to provide the world what I believe they are wanting more of. And it's not stopping here. So everybody that's watching, it's like, oh, well, Monica's had this great career. Heather's had this great career. Mark, but I can't be those people. We don't want you to be us. We want you to be the best version of you. But
Exactly.
people just limit their beliefs. And, Heather, I mentioned earlier, the imposter syndrome. How often do you feel that on stage and in life?
Every day. I love that you brought that up, because Mark and I, we coach each other.
Sure.
And that's one of the things. It's almost comical, the things that we hear when we talk to other people, and then we stop and we almost laugh, like, hang on a second. We're thinking the same things. If we stop, okay, take a step back, take a pause, and understand, first of all, we're humans having a human experience with human emotions.
Mm-hmm.
That's real. And here's, I think, what people get frustrated, and what I've had to learn. This is why I had so much stress and burnout earlier in my careers, because I thought I had to be perfect. That imposter syndrome was so bad for me that every time I achieved something, I didn't celebrate it, because it was on to the next thing, because then I was looking at someone else thinking, well, that wasn't good enough. I achieved this great thing, but now I need to be better and achieve better. So what you have to understand is human emotions get in the way every single day. And that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all, because we are having an experience, but you have to be able to go with the ride and feel them. But an imposter syndrome is just a different way of looking at something you might need to learn, something you might need to overcome. It's actually a great teacher when it creeps up. Yes, drummer.
In Heather's book, one of my favorite parts of Heather's book, and I told her she needs to write a book just about this, it's the deservability factor.
Mm-hmm.
And so much of the time we think we do not deserve something. I'll put it to you very simply. Here's one quick way to eradicate the imposter syndrome. If you're there doing it, you deserve it.
Right.
You created it. So simply, it's like, I'm an imposter. No, you're not. You're simply there doing what you do.
Mm-hmm.
If you were an imposter, you wouldn't be there doing it.
Right.
You wouldn't have been selected. You wouldn't have navigated this in your life. You wouldn't be surrounded by people that are supporting you to authentically do what you do.
Mark,
so how can you be an imposter?
You nailed it.
All made up.
There's so much, again, if you're just tuning in, and I know people are signing in every second, and then those of you that are going to watch this on replay later, Believe in Yourself, coming out in mid-June, More Than Your Grandma. And the deservability factor, she talks about a couple of stories in there. One of them was that she wanted to buy this particular house. She always felt this house calling towards her. And then all of a sudden she knew somebody that was going to show the house. She went into it. So many levels of, well, wait a minute though, I don't know if I deserve this house. The same thing with the car. All these things of, I think I want this. Well, I'm not going to do it. do I deserve that? You also go through, do I deserve to stand on stage? Am I an imposter? The perfection syndrome. And I don't know how many times we say this on the show. We are all imperfect creatures. So if we just take off the pressure of perfectionism, you're never going to be perfect. You're not supposed to be, right? We are imperfect. You talk about also, Heather, growth versus a fixed mindset. I mentioned earlier the meditation. You also talk about autopilot mode. You want to discuss that?
Yeah. Oh, you may not want to ask me about that. We don't have enough time. We have to do a part 3
That's
or
part
4 to really get deep. We have a default mode network in our brain. And you asked me earlier how I really got into neuroscience. I like to understand how things work. I've always been curious. I was a trained accountant. I've just always wanted to know what's behind the scenes. And if you just understand a little bit why we do what we do, it gives you comfort. And so our brain is naturally wired. It's called the default mode network. It's a big, big part of your brain, and it's naturally wired for negativity on purpose for survival. But that negativity tends to take over. So then the choices you make because of it, then those become habits and patterns. And then before you know it, you don't realize it. So autopilot, your brain is designed to store information for survival. We have filing cabinets in our brain. Everybody has them. Every single thing you go through in life, your brain remembers. You may not consciously remember, but it's there to keep you alive, to have you have joy, have passion, have experiences. But what happens is driving's the best example, and everybody uses this. You drive, you don't remember 90% of what you did on that drive. It becomes such an autopilot. But if you change your route or you get a detour along the way, then you have to stop and think a little bit. Your brain's really a high functioning machine. But autopilot can also be a disservice, because that's when Mark talked about earlier, reactivity. We get just instant reactivity to things, and sometimes those instant reactions, the chain reaction that it can cause, doesn't serve us, because it might be an instant rebuttal or an instant just frustration. I do this all the time with my son. My son's now 16, and I say this all the time. I've never been a 16-year-old boy. I've never been a mother of a 16-year-old boy. Most of the times I don't know what to do with all of that. So my instant reactivity, I get triggered a lot. And that's autopilot. That's why the power of the pause is so crucial, because we have to actually start retraining a different autopilot, but we have to have that space to make a decision and to see, is this autopilot serving us? Is this instant reaction? Is this instant quip necessary? So autopilot is a crucial survival mechanism. But you have to understand, is this survival mechanism serving me in this moment, helping me, or depleting me? And that's what autopilot really is about.
Again, for those of you that are just tuning in, we're nearing our last 10 minutes of the show. I want you to re-rack the show. Be sure to watch the beginning parts of this and wait for our part 2 or 3 or 4 as many times as the two of you want to come in, because we are so like-minded. I cannot wait to be in studio with you. The attitude equation is Mark's Rockstars in all fields, sharing their secret attitudes and believe in yourself more than your grandma. By the way, how did you come up with that title?
I think we all have a special person in our life, regardless if it's someone we know or just someone we admire, that has a certain level to believe in certain things. For me, it was always my grandmother. My grandmother was the person that would be honest with me, but love me and support me and see possibility when I couldn't. And I think that, first of all, we need to have that belief in ourselves, because if you don't believe in yourself, even if your grandma does, even if your mate does, then you're still going to subconsciously sabotage your goals. You're going to sabotage things you're doing, because you have to believe in yourself. You have to have that rock star confidence, that rock star swagger. That's what hacking the rock star brain is all about, is you tapping in to your power, your strength, your belief, even more than your grandma or your Uncle Winston or your mate, whomever that might be. So that's where it came from. We all have that person that we can tap into and borrow it until we have it on our own.
Mhm. Well, and you talk about the fact that we have people who believe in us many times before we believe in ourselves. I always talk about the importance of leaning into those that are there to lift you up, because we need that sometimes, right? We're looking at some pictures of those that matter most to both Mark and Heather. Obviously, the two of them. We talk about animals, right? They listen sometimes the best of anything, our children, etc. But so many people are saying, what a blessing to hear and be motivated by all three of you today. I can't wait to read the books. Thank you. Such a great show. I love the have to get to attitude change. Many people saying I'm sharing. There's so many good topics in one book, in two books, by the way. Excellent keywords given here. Yeah, I mean, this hour has flown by, which is the reason why I want to have you back on. Mark, I would be remiss if I didn't get into this. So I mentioned at the beginning, huge fan of not just the music of Pink, but who she is as a person and what she wants for the world. More kindness. It's the way I end every show. We need more kindness in the world. But can you just tell us, all of us that are big fans of hers, truly who she is as a human being and how much you loved working with her?
Well, I will say that she is probably the greatest female performer on the planet. And the reason is because she is so committed to who she is and then what she does. And she's so committed to her audience. So she will literally do death-defying stunts. And that's what she's known for, because that's part of just big, again, there is no box. We destroyed the box. It's like anything she could think of. She actually wanted to do a presentation, or wanted to do an aerial stunt on these metal blocks climbing without a net, and the insurance wouldn't cover it. So she wanted to do stuff that she wasn't even able to do. So her level of commitment, her level of training before she starts working, and she'll lie on the ground. She'll go out on the satellite stage, lie on the ground, sign autographs, sign she probably has about 1 million Pink tattoos, because she signs people's skin and then they go get her name tattooed in their skin. So it really is her level of commitment and her level of desire to be so extreme and so, fantastic at what she does for her fans and for her family. She's a great mom. When her kids were on the road, they were always on the stage. She loved having the kids around. She wouldn't just say, "Hey, nanny, take the kids." She wants them there all the time. And Willow was flying around with her and doing the aerial stunts. And I've never even been on those things. Like, look, they can take it on. I'm safe. I'm going to be the mere mortal sitting at the drums. So it really is, again, seeing beyond any limitation, because we literally are creating it. And so for her, she's in a position where if I can create it, I'm going to do it. Well, sometimes I can't do it because the insurance won't cover it, but I'm going to do everything I darn well can. And that is who she is. Not to mention that voice. Oh my gosh. You hear that voice. She could sing anything and it sounds fantastic. She's got
and upside down.
I mean, upside down. She even made a comment. She said, "I'm so used to being upside down. I sing better when I'm upside down spinning around than when I'm standing up vertically."
You know what? There was a piece done on one of the national news, and she was interviewed, and then they showed Drea. Drea, by the way, if any of you know Tony Horton, who we've had on the show many times, he does P90X. Drea is in his P90X workouts.
Drea is a dear friend of mine, by the way.
Oh, yeah? Okay, so Drea's in this particular piece, Drea is she tells her to stand on her stomach. And then she's like, "Now sing." And she's like, Drea looked at her like, "I cannot believe you can do this." And she's like, keep going. I've got more in me and more in me. Another level of her. One of the things that I've introduced my audience to for the last, I think it's probably 5 years. It was maybe 3 to 6 months into her first releasing her wine. It's called Two Wolves. Okay. So I've been on this. It's a small boutique allocation wine and it's phenomenal. My favorite is her group song. She's got an incredible rosé, by the way, that the color of the rosé alone will be like, that's not a rosé. It is. It's this golden color though. Have you had her wine? I'm guessing.
Oh yeah. Well, when it first came out, She brought cases of the initial release. And I'm a rosé person too, by the way. White wine and rosé, but the rosé was always my favorite.
Yes.
Yeah, we we been to her winery. We used to have glamping parties on her winery right around her little lake, and we'd all bring. But she'd make us. You got to bring your own tent, set your own tent up, just because it was fully catered and people were walking around, and the remote bathroom was nicer than the bathroom in my house.
Sure.
But still, we were camping. And it was so funny. It wasn't necessarily funny, but in the middle of the night, what would wake us up was like you'd always hear somebody in a nearby tent. We were all out there roughing it while we were glamping.
Oh, it's incredible. So as I said, she's coming in the fall, and somehow, some way, Mark, you've got to get the two of us to meet, even if it's just a quick backstage meet and greet.
Well, I don't play with her anymore, so I'm
you
not.
You still talk to her.
Yeah, I talk to the people. She got a great drummer. Brian is wonderful. The show is fantastic. You will love it.
Well, not just, I've seen her multiple times. She's incredible. So Pink and Cher and Foreigner. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Obviously, Mark at the top of his career. And then he decides, as we mentioned in the very beginning, to continue to just speak to the masses and change. Heather, you had told me on the phone that you are very excited. There's something coming up at the end of this month that you guys have both been wanting to do for a while. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So every year, the Meeting Planner International has a large conference, and speakers love to speak on stage for the Meeting Planner International Conference. And Mark and I applied for our joint speech, Hacking the Rockstar Brain. So we are the featured keynote speaker for our joint Hacking the Rockstar Brain. So we're very proud and honored and excited to be able to, anytime we get to speak together is a good time. But that this is a little extra special just because of who the audience is, because we know they will be able to share what they've learned, not only with the people they know, but so we can continue doing this for other companies. And that's really the goal. We know the impact that we can make, and that's really at the core of what we want to do, is make the most impact as possible. And this stage is a great platform, and we're very excited. So just in a few weeks, we want to, and we get to.
I'm so proud of both of you. And here's the thing that you have to tell everybody. I'm sure that you will take the stage and your mind will go flying through different things. You mentioned how often you feel the imposter syndrome. Will the two of you feel nerves before you go out?
Probably feel a little nervous. My first book was called Conquering Life's Stage Fright. Mm-hmm. And I talked about there's a level where you want to feel excited. You want to feel a little bit of butterflies because that actually, stimulates and enhances your mindset and your brainwaves. It's the deleterious. It's when you go over the top where you can't think anymore. We won't get to that stage because we will check each other, and we have been rehearsing a lot, and we love what we do. And, we'd love to be of service. About 12 years ago, I decided that everything I do, whether it's playing drums, giving a speech, talking to my daughter, hanging out with Heather, I love to be of service. Everything truly is about being of service. So for us, it's the chance to not only be of service to the meeting planners, but to also really give them an example of what we can do for their clients so we can be of service to their clients.
And I'll just add to that a little bit, Monica. Nerves, yes, can be very healthy and exciting. But one of the things that we really like to remind ourselves of, no matter if we're speaking or interacting with the client or we're being of service, but it's what is our commitment and what is our intention? Mm-hmm. When you really understand what is your intention in this moment, brevity is everything in communication, but especially when you're on stage. And if we just keep reminding ourselves, we have a pre-speech ritual when we're together, even when we're apart, we call one another on the phone, we have a pre-speech ritual, and it always includes being of service. What is our intention? What impact do we want to leave? And that actually resets the mind. So of course nerves are going to get there. So this is one of the strategies to be able to focus and be in the moment and allow that nervous excitement to fuel that passion and to fuel the energy even more. So we welcome those moments, but this is how we're able to channel it and use it. And anybody can in any moment.
Absolutely. Is there any time that you're going to be speaking here in our area that people can come and see you?
I literally just spoke for the Gateway for Innovation, and I think I've got another speech. Don't I have another speech coming up?
I'm not sure actually, but we would love to speak more in St. Louis. So
Yeah.
anyone watching, we would love
We
to be
love
able
it.
to do that.
So if they want to book you, what's the easiest way to get in touch with you?
Just contact either one of us, Heather at heatherjcrider.com or Heather at markschulman.com or Mark at markschulman.com. We're not hard to find.
We're easy to find.
Yeah, pretty simple. Just shoot us a message and we can have a conversation.
Again, you're going to get a lot of passion out of both of them. As I mentioned, here's the book. And I know that Michelle's been dropping links for you to be able to purchase this. The Attitude Equation, Rockstars in All Fields, sharing their secret attitudes. It's Mark Schulman and Jim Samuels. And then this one coming out for you in June. So mark this down and be looking for it. I'll be in touch with Heather and she can let me know when it's officially released. And maybe at that point, we'll have you back in studio just to continue. We've got so much more to talk about. Believe in yourself more than your grandma. You're both incredible. I greatly appreciate you spending some time today. Mark, have a safe flight, and then just let us know when you're back in town.
Thank you so much. You've been fantastic, Monica. You're a force.
Yeah, you're a rock star.
You're a
Monica.
rock star. And I love, by the way, I love the rock star blazer. You got it going on.
I know, I did. I told Mark I dressed in the rock star for him today. He put the rock star vest on very early in the morning.
Yeah, that's what we do.
That's right. That's right. Mark and Heather, thank you. All of you stay just with us for just a few more minutes. Want to give you a breakdown of some things coming up for you. Mark and Heather, I'll see you very, very soon in studio. We'll just, we'll let everybody know when you're coming back in, and then we'll do part 2. So stay tuned for more passion. We're talking about cultivating mindsets. So mark this. This is Thursday, Cultivating a Vision, part 5. And I team up with my friend Kasia Sitars in Canada, 2 coaches in one night. If you haven't signed up for that yet, you can do so by going to TheRealMonicaAdams.com. Click on the events calendar, and then on the date, Thursday, May 9th. Don't miss this one. Look, you just got a lot of passion from both Mark and Heather. If that didn't ignite you, then we're going to do so on Thursday. We're going to keep that passion flowing and show you just what you can possibly be made of. So think about all of that. I also have some mobile Monicas I want to tell you about, including one on Mother's Day, and we'll do that for you as we wrap up the show coming up next.
She's a special woman and done so much for St. Louis.
Watching her work is one of the most incredible things you can see.
She just sees value in everyone.
Sometimes people just need you to sit with them and hear them. I feel heard.
The time flew by, and it was like sitting and talking to a friend.
Not only creating a better place here in St. Louis, but to inspire others. It's always great to have examples like you.
You have such a light and such a presence, and I could feel it this morning.
We knew right away when you started this, we wanted to be on your show. Thanks for having us.
And I look forward to seeing how you rock and roll and shake it up.
Let's do just that. Weren't they awesome? I cannot wait to meet the 2 of them in person. I hated that we didn't get a chance to have them in studio, but I do like the fact that we kept everybody safe. Once again, if you didn't see the forecast in the beginning part of the show, Beckett was on with us, our aspiring meteorologist, and stressing that we're not out of the woods, that tomorrow it is going to be maybe 1, if not 2 rounds of severe weather as we get into the afternoon and into the evening, stirring up the warmer temperatures. We had 84 and 81, and then we're going to get into the 70s. By the time tomorrow night gets here and into Thursday morning, all clear. We're going to have really beautiful days ahead, maybe a slight chance of some rain on Saturday. But then Mother's Day, I want to see you come out to the O'Fallon, Missouri area off of Highway 70 and K. We're going to be at the Panteras parking lot, the Storco parking lot. It is going to be from 10 a.m. to noon. I would love to see you celebrate Mother's Day together. My mom will be there. I think my husband will probably be there helping guide the show. 10 a.m. to noon will be us. They'll actually start at 9 a.m. and go into the early afternoon. But if you can, even for a quick picture, because I'm going to put a little collage together to see just how many moms and daughters and sons we get a chance to see. Bring your grandmas out and share a little time. 50 vendors for the farmers and artisans market, music, food, drinks, even the ability to adopt dogs, puppies and adult dogs alike, as Diamonds in the Rough will be out there. I would love to see you, maybe before or after you head off to the host family, whoever's going to have that, or maybe you're going to go to church, or maybe you're going to go to brunch. We would love to see you on Sunday, on Mother's Day. We also have our next Mobile Monica coming up at Just Pools. So please mark this on the calendar. And Michelle's done a great job putting these all on our events section of our page. This is going to be on May 16th, 7 o'clock in the morning. We are so excited to have Just Pools as part of our new sponsorship team. And not just for the Mobile Monica, but they're now part of our team as we move forward into June and into later into the year. Madonna and Michelle and the staff that are there, Shannon, Tommy, cannot wait to introduce all of them to you and really get to know them. If you are getting ready to open your pool, do me a favor, even if it's just to stop in and grab your chemicals or your noodles or your floaties. They're going to have a huge Memorial Day sale. And for those of you that have been wanting to get a pool, they have, and I do mean a massive sale going on for in-ground and above-ground pools. And if you think, oh, I really would like to have an above-ground pool sooner than later, well, the good thing is no longer is it a year or 2 year delay. They could actually start on that and get it for you in the fall, but you'd have to start the talks on that for Memorial Weekend. That's when they are going to be doing that. So that's coming up for you on May 16th. That'll be the following Thursday. We also are excited. We are going to be at Firefly Grill. That'll be at the end of the month. Can't wait to introduce you to Christy Prosser. Christy owns Firefly Grill, and that's down in the Chesterfield Valley. That will be a happy hour kind of afternoon show from 4 o'clock till 5 plus. That's in Chesterfield. If you haven't been there yet, great food. I've known her since I was in high school. She used to be my manager when I was a bartender and a waitress. Can't wait to talk about our old days. That'll be coming up again on the 30th. And then we go into June and we're excited to be at Sunset Overlook. That's in the Illinois area, Columbia, Illinois. And so I love the fact that we're getting on both sides of the river for you. We actually went by and took some pictures of Sunset Overlook. Really gorgeous. Look closely. They have one of those igloos. Now, I don't know if that's air conditioned, but you might want to be in there or maybe not. You might want to sit out on the patio. Beautiful front and back part of Sunset Overlook. So that one will be, by the way, for you on June 13th at 7 o'clock in the evening. And we'll kick back and we'll watch the sunset together, which is supposed to be at 8:27 that evening. So again, Sunset Overlook and Firefly Grill. Thank you for hosting us. And we can come to you. I'll put it up here on the screen. Mobile Monica at your business. Would you like for us to be at a festival, at an event, at a big party? You want to make an anniversary celebration? That's actually what Firefly Grill and Sunset Overlook are doing. We're going to celebrate their anniversaries together. And we're working on one that's in Lake St. Louis. I'm going to get confirmation on that, hopefully this coming Thursday. And then we'll put that one on the calendar. That's supposed to be in July. And of course, we mix in our regular custom segments, which is our Wet Your Whistle Wednesday. I'm hoping that the weather will cooperate and that everything will be okay tomorrow for their Mexican farmhouse dinner. You know, they do these farmhouse dinners on a regular basis, but this will be a Mexican dinner that they're going to be doing at Defiance Ridge Vineyard. So Wet Your Whistle Wednesday, every Wednesday at 4 o'clock. And then on Thursdays, almost every other Thursday, unless we've got 5 Thursdays in a month, we do Positive Talk Time. And that'll be with Jessica Cook at Yuppie Puppies Forever Rescue, Yuppie Puppy Pet Spa in Cowdleville. And we will be back there with Jessica this coming Thursday. So a lot of opportunities for you to see our team and be a part of our show. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed today. I hope you got some inspiration from Mark and from Heather. Really wonderful, passionate people. Do us a favor, share this show tomorrow, let's just spread the branches of the tree so that we can continue to spread the message of positivity. And then remember also on Thursdays, we have our bonus podcast, the audio side. And that is going to be kind of a dual opportunity for you to get motivated. If you didn't get a chance to hear these shows the first time around, this is going to be springboard. That's what I was calling it at the time. Springboard forward into the life that you were meant to have. And so that'll be at 8:00 this coming Thursday. And we continue that motivation next Thursday. So there were two parts to that. If you haven't been listening to those, please do so on any of the audio podcast platforms. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day. Stay safe. I hope you didn't have too much damage, but I'm sure a lot of you will be assessing that right now as the sun's up and you start to look outside at what the damage was. I hope you don't have any damage tomorrow. Just stay weather aware. Beckett will join us tomorrow at the beginning of the show to let us know what's on tap and the time frame of all of that. Everybody, remember, you can be anything you want to be. Believe in that. And as you meet each person, wherever you run around to today, just give them a wink, smile at them, give them a compliment, and just spread the love of kindness. Hope you have a beautiful day.